Welcome to the E3 edition of the Gaming Psychologist. Got a lot to talk about regarding E3. Made some notes. No script, but just some notes so that I don't forget kind of the things that stuck out the most to me. I'm kind of going to go over everything in the show. I'm not going to focus too much on one of the specific conferences, and I'm not really going to talk about any of the little stuff. I wish I had time to just sit and watch one of the big streams, that streams the entire show, but I don't. So I've watched all the big conferences except for Nintendo's, and I missed it live, and I cannot find it anywhere for the life of me, and I have an opportunity to record this video. I may add an addendum later on the end of it, or I may record a separate little short video to talk about Nintendo specifically. But if I'm honest, the only franchises in Nintendo, or that Nintendo have that interest me, are Monster Hunter, which has gone down just because I don't have the time to play a whole lot of games like that are time intensive, and I play several other games that fill up that time. Mario Kart, which I don't think they announced a new one. If they would have, I would have seen it plastered all over Twitter and Reddit. And Super Smash Brothers, which they got some DLC characters that I've seen, so that's pretty cool, but I doubt that I will buy them personally. I play Smash Brothers with my wife and my friends whenever they come over, or our friends whenever they come over. So I don't have a lot of interest in it, like, by myself. So if something really big comes out, I probably will talk about it, but that's about all that really matters to me when it comes to Nintendo. I do realize that I'm kind of an outlier, and I accept that, but my main focus is PC gaming, and then Microsoft, their conference. I own an Xbox One, and they also have the biggest stake out of anyone who presents in PC gaming. Maybe you could argue some of the third-party developers do as well, but they focus so much on consoles anyways at the show, so that it doesn't matter all that much. I'm just going to go in order of the conferences. So we're going to start with Bethesda's, and we're going to end with Sony's. Bethesda, probably my favorite conference. It's tough. I liked a lot of the stuff that Sony had too. They really, really put on a good show. But, we'll talk about them when they get there. But I think Bethesda did it for me for the best conference. I mentioned this in my other video that I made, that Fallout 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm so invested in the Fallout series, and the gameplay that they put up looked so good that it makes me want to go back on my no pre-order thing that I do, where I don't pre-order games. And we'll see on that one. I still haven't decided. I'm waiting for more information to come out. But, yeah, Bethesda had the best conference. Doom, Fallout, all of the Fallout-related stuff, the app, and not the second screen app, although that looks pretty cool. I don't know anybody who uses those. All of the big publishers are making them now. It's kind of we've got a second screen experience app for you to put on your smartphone. But, theirs looks pretty cool since it basically just emulates the function of the Pip-Boy. If it works and it doesn't lag too much, or you can change things on the fly without it just pulling up the Pip-Boy in game, that would be pretty neat. But if it either lags too much or it doesn't work in real time with the game, then I don't really see any point to it at all, except just to be flashy. But the Fallout Shelter game looks really cool. Looks kind of like a Tiny Tower, except Fallout themed, and with a different art style than Tiny Tower, because Tiny Tower uses kind of that 8-bit, what's it called? The 8-bit art style, and I'm not too big a fan of that, but the gameplay's really solid. So the Fallout art style, it looks like all the little posters they have for Vault Boy. Let's see, where was I? I'm going to cut out that little bit in the middle. Had to pause for a moment. But they also did Doom. Doom looked cool, but that trailer was very much, very clearly pre-rendered. I doubt the game will look like that. Not only the graphics, but the way that it plays. Although if it gets even remotely close, it'll be great. So it looks good, but it's too early to tell. The rest of the stuff that went on at the Bethesda conference was fine, but those were the highlights for me. So moving on to Microsoft. Microsoft had a really big turnout. Really good show. I mean, they came out swinging. This is a Microsoft that's completely different from the Microsoft that we had 2 years ago with the launch of the Xbox One, which is really good. I mean, last year they were in kind of a transition. Phil Spencer hadn't had enough time to really turn that division around. But this year it was completely different, and I absolutely approve. They had a lot of games featured. A lot of the indie stuff I'm not interested in. Cuphead looks neat. I like the art style. I'm not sure if I'd play it, though. Those kind of 2D side-scrolling type games are not my thing. But, I mean, who knows? I'll check it out when it releases. Halo, of course. The big Microsoft showstopper. I'm a huge fan of the Halo series. The problems with the Master Chief Collection didn't bother me because I'm into Halo for the story, not the multiplayer. So I am very excited for the new Halo. The squad-based single-player combat that they showed, like where you can command your squad around and order them to do stuff, looks amazing. Nathan Fillion, my man crush. Let me tell you, that man, Nathan Fillion, if you ever hear this, call me. Yeah, I will hook up with you in a heartbeat. Seriously. But Nathan Fillion's been in there before. He was in ODST as Buck, and that's who his character is this time, is Buck. And Buck has been transitioned to the Spartan team. And who else was he? He had a voice role as one of the sergeants in Halo 3. I can't remember the name of the level, but it's where you're landing on the beach. And if you keep him alive, he will say things throughout the level. And he also he was in Destiny. He's the hunter leader. I can't think of his name, but he's in Destiny, and he's been in a couple other games too. Nathan Fillion is a game fan, which is cool. But what else did Microsoft do? Let me look at my notes here. Gears of War, the Gears of War 4, I suppose is what they'll call that. They just said Gears of War. That looked good. Again, another very scripted gameplay trailer, but it still looked pretty cool. A lot of people don't give Gears of War the credit it deserves for creating creepy atmospheres. They all focus on the big muscly people and the chainsaw rifle, the Lancer, which, rightfully so, they should focus on that thing. That's awesome. But at the same time, Gears of War can create some very dark and creepy atmospheres based on the premise of the game. And it looked really good. The trailer that they showed made it seem more like, not like a horror-type game, but it had more of those elements than past Gears of War games had. So, looking forward to that. The new Forza, I'm a huge car guy, huge car fan, so, I turn out for Forza's yearly series, or annual series. Not the biggest fan of Horizons. I played the first one, I didn't play the second one, but Forza 6 coming out. I think that's going to match Forza 4, which has been the best one in the series so far. I think with Forza 5, they really just tried to make the game as pretty as possible to launch on the Xbox One. And 6 is going to bring back more tracks and more cars. So it'll look good that way. I'm pumped about that. That's about all the things that really stood out to me the most at the Microsoft conference. It was good. I liked a lot of stuff that they did. I can't remember. I don't think that he came out during that conference. Honor Bound. I don't think that this was the Microsoft conference, maybe. I got him mixed up, and I don't have a lot of time to record this video, so I didn't go look it up. But that game looks really cool. It's a third-person fighting game, or not exactly fighting game, combat game, hack and slash, where you fight other people online. And it's got some sort of battle system that wasn't really greatly described, but apparently your character seems to tire out over time, and so your attacks become weaker and more sloppy, and you can kind of make up for it yourself with good timing. But the trailer for it was amazing, and then the gameplay demo was pretty good too. Although the disparity between the graphics between the two was pretty obvious. I wish that they couldn't really do anything more than a teaser if it wasn't going to be gameplay. Modern games look great. They look better than they ever looked, and they look better all the time, but they put up these pre-rendered trailers sometimes that look almost real. There were a few trailers that went up this year that really genuinely looked almost like real life. Someone who doesn't have a trained eye, or maybe an older person who's not familiar with it, might mistake them for real. But, I mean, games don't look that way yet when you play them. Even the most powerful PCs out there can't put out a game that looks real. And I've seen some that get close with, like, modded Skyrim and whatnot, but those trailers just do not do the games. They're almost misrepresentative of the game. I don't know. It's a fine line they walk, and it's not something that I have the time to get into now. But maybe one day we'll talk about that. Moving on to the EA conference. To be honest, it was terrible. I mean, it was just bad. They focused on mobile titles. They spent way too long on games that nobody cared about. Or not that nobody cared about, but just that they could have shown off more of their big games, like Mass Effect. Anything really else that BioWare is working on. I would have appreciated some more time spent on the Star Wars The Old Republic expansion. But instead, we got 10 minutes of Plants vs. Zombies. We got 20 minutes with Pele on stage talking about soccer, his stories. I mentioned in another video that I don't blame Pele for doing that. I blame EA for not thinking and just putting him up there as some kind of marketing stunt. I know that it's going to be a horrible microtransaction mess that probably plays bad and is just, a clicker game where you wait and you click and collect your stuff and build your stuff. But the Minions game, me and a million other people, probably more than that, have got a huge soft spot in their heart for those little guys. And that game is probably going to make EA a quadrillion dollars because we all love the Minions. And kudos to them for recognizing that, but that game is going to be so bad. I'm just going to love it because of the Minions. I'm going to admit it right now. I'm just going to open my wallet to those cute little guys. Need for Speed looked really good, but it's a game that I don't believe is as good as they're going to promise that it's going to be. The trailer they showed off was also clearly pre-rendered and scripted. So, I'm not holding my breath or anything. Forza is in the racing scene. Forza is where it's at when it comes to realism and graphics. Nobody can beat them, and nobody can beat their customization engine either for vehicle tuning and graphic design on your cars. So, I don't doubt that it'll be a good game. I've loved the Need for Speed franchise for years. I've owned almost all of the games that have come out since they started putting them on Xbox 360. I own Most Wanted, I own Carbon, I own both of the Underground games, which was before then, actually, on original Xbox. I've owned Undercover, Pro Street, Shift. Shift was amazing. Oh my gosh. I wish they'd kept that series going for more than 2 games. Who knows, maybe they will. But I just don't think that this is going to do what they say it will. Maybe. I could be wrong. I'm going to give them a shot. Because Need for Speed games have always been good arcade street racing games. But, like I said, not holding my breath or crossing my fingers or anything. And then we come to Battlefront, which really is just Star Wars Battlefield. That's exactly what that looks like, which I'm fine with. I'm absolutely fine with Battlefront being a Star Wars skin for Battlefield. As long as it's not a Battlefield release title, it's a Battlefield right before the next release comes out title, so that it's not full of bugs and exploits and stuff. Everybody's been giving this series crap because whenever they've announced it, they've really just marketed it wrong. And you know, they've put up lots of advertisements that say, "Oh, you can do this," or "You can't do this," but everybody's just going, "Oh, but there's no space battles. There's all this stuff that you can't do from the other games." And you know, that franchise has been dead for something like a decade. I'm okay with letting go of a couple things to get Battlefront back. I love Battlefront. That was one of the games that I played the most when I was on my original Xbox, and then I own it now on PC. I played on my PC. So I'm okay with giving up a few free features to get it back, just as long as they don't drive it in the ground. I'm going to give them a chance, but I'm going to give them a chance, and we'll see what they can do with it. Hopefully, it's not ruin it. Oh, and I almost forgot Mass Effect. It was just a teaser trailer. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it, because in my Mass Effect game, everyone came together in kind of a symbiotic relationship with each other. So if this is a completely separate story or some kind of prequel thing or a spin-off, we'll see. But I don't know how they're going to make it work with if they try to integrate your old game saves.
Command accepted.
Who knows, though? Mass Effect is by far my favorite game series of all time. I love that. I've played through the original trilogy 3 full times to experience different outcomes. So I love that game. So anything that they can do with that would be amazing. The Ubisoft conference, you know, this happened last year with me with Ubisoft. They put out a lot of really good-looking games that I wanted to buy. I genuinely wanted to buy them. I didn't buy a single Ubisoft title last year, and I feel like that this conference was exactly the same thing for me. Ubisoft does know that they had a really bad year last year, that they screwed over their customers, and that if they don't get it right, we're going to drop them. They know that, and they even acknowledged that. They didn't say it the way that we all were thinking. You know, they put their positive kind of sounding corporate spin on it, but they acknowledged, you know, we've been getting feedback from you guys, and it ain't pretty. So we're working to change that, and more power to them. You know, if they're willing to change, I'm willing to buy Ubisoft games again. But games like my goodness. Well, I can't think of the name of it. The Ubisoft car game that was open world. I was looking forward to that game last year. Wasn't what it was supposed to be. Buggy mess, full of microtransactions. Last year's Assassin's Creed, buggy mess, full of microtransactions. Far Cry, good, but exactly the same as Far Cry 3. I've played that. I'm not going to pay money to play it again. And so on and so forth. And this conference felt a lot the same. They announced the new Assassin's Creed game, which looks good, but if it's a buggy mess, I won't play it. And they brought The Division back up, probably the only Ubisoft game that I'm going to buy when it releases, but that doesn't even come out till 2016. And then again, I might not. When it started out, The Division was a single-player game that had an online multiplayer aspect, and it's becoming more and more a multiplayer-only game, and I'm not interested in that. I am not a multiplayer gamer unless I'm just playing with my friends, so we'll see what they do with that. They announced another game. I didn't take down the name of it because, honestly, I just called it Div Cry. It's a third-person shooter that has the exact same art style as The Division, only in some kind of Mexico type area. And then it plays like Far Cry. You climb up to places and you can kill enemies any way you want and work together to do all this stuff. And I mean, they said it was a new IP, but it's really not. They just took their other IPs and mashed them together and called it this new game. So we'll see. They had some kind of weird debacle with Just Dance. I don't even know the guy that they brought up on stage to sing a song and dance, but he kind of went off and did his own thing, and that was bad. It was funny. It was worth a couple of good snarky tweets, but yeah, it wasn't that great. But yeah, I mean, all of Ubisoft titles to me were just, yeah, this looks good. Don't think I'll buy it. The other really noteworthy title that they had was Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Shield. Had to think about it there for a second. I didn't put that in my notes. Not sure why I forgot that. It was the best demo I've seen for a multiplayer-focused shooter that they've had at E3, because they actually brought those guys up on stage and they played the game live, and they were just yelling over each other the entire time. And it was a mess. And that's exactly what those games are like. You know, all these demos you see, and they're like really scripted, like, oh, I see him around the corner. I'm gonna get out my shotgun. You get behind me and be ready. It's like, it's not like that. It's like, there's 4 guys in there. There's 4 guys. Shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. Oh, I got killed. Why didn't you protect me? It's like, well, I've got the shield. Get behind me. And they're just yelling over each other. That was great. I like that. It might not look the prettiest from a marketing standpoint, but it's real. And gamers know that. And we know that you're not BSing us. We know that you're actually playing the game on stage right there. And it looks good. The destruction models are really, really good. The gun mechanics look awesome. They really, the graphical fidelity is superb. And it just, if it wasn't a multiplayer-focused shooter, I'd probably play it. I know it has a single-player campaign, but it is very clearly a multiplayer-focused shooter. And again, I'm not actually interested in that. Moving on to Sony, the tides have turned with Call of Duty now being exclusively shown on the Sony stage, with the new Black Ops. You know, Sony's the market leader right now when it comes to console. Good for them. You know, I'm glad that they've attracted the Call of Duty crowd over to there. Maybe that will push Microsoft to do even better, to try and win them back. I'm not a huge fan of the Call of Duty franchise. I've liked some of the games in the past, but you know, they're so multiplayer focused, and as my life has changed, again, another multiplayer focused game that I'm not super interested in. Usually I pick them up on sale a couple years after they're out, beat the single player story, because I actually kind of like them. I mean, they're full of cliched writing, sure, but they're actually fun little action power adventures. It's kind of like playing a 4-hour action movie. So I'll probably pick up Black Ops 3 in a couple of years from now. Sony also really was having a pissing contest with Microsoft for who got the most exclusive betas, and Sony definitely won. Which I'm glad that that's what it's about now instead of pre-orders. You can do your exclusive early beta or whatever. That's fine. That's not costing anybody any money, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get your head out of your butt and listen to what people say and fix your game a little bit. I don't believe they'll do that, but maybe. And so it was glad to see all these games that weren't focused on pre-orders. There were a couple, but not many. I forget where I was going at that point. Sony opened with The Last Guardian. Honestly, a game I'm not super familiar with, so I won't spend too much time on it, but I recognize that it's a big deal, because it was a game that was stuck in development hell for something like 6 or 7 years. So, you know, to all the people who've been working on it and who have been looking forward to it, good for you guys. I'm happy for you, genuinely. But, yeah, I'm not too familiar with it, and watching the trailer/gameplay demo that they had, probably not going to be too interested in it. Those kind of adventure-type games, I mean, maybe, but I hate to just write it off when I don't know anything about it, but the trailer made it seem like it wasn't for me. I was going to go into this big, long thing about third-person action-adventure games, but to be honest, I really like lots of those games. It's just the art style and the way that it looked, it just didn't look like it was for me. But who knows? I'll give it a shot. Give it a look when some more stuff comes out about it. We got some new Destiny stuff. I loved that game when it came out. I played the heck out of it, and I stopped before even the first expansion came out because I beat everything, and I spent something like 180 hours playing it. And I just, I got my money's worth out of it, but I can't be bothered with it anymore. I've moved on. And I think a lot of the rest of the gaming community has, and I think that Bungie and Sony have realized that, because they put a little more focus on it than I thought that they would. I think they want to puff it back up if they can. But I think at this point, they need to abandon their original 10-year plan and move on to the second game and say, look, we realized that we didn't put enough story in this game. That's what you guys were expecting. So here's a new Destiny with more story. They could even release it in the same engine, same graphics, same everything. Just, here's more story. I suppose they could do that with an expansion, too. This new expansion may be that, but from what I've heard, industry rumor and stuff, it's not. It's more of the same with what we've got. And that just ain't cutting it when it comes to story. If they came out with a Destiny expansion that was, hey, look at all this awesome story content we've added, I'd be back on that in a minute. Because I loved the gunplay, I loved the gameplay. It was a good, solid, fun shooter. But there just was no story. And I'm a huge story person when it comes to games. And I think that they underestimated how much of that audience was. Because a lot of us are Halo and COD players who came over to it. And I think that they were expecting, those games are just big multiplayer games. And the stories have been getting smaller and smaller for years. But you really have to have a story to carry that kind of game. Uncharted 4, I don't own a PS4. I didn't own a PS3. I had friends in college who had them. I used to play them a lot. So I'm familiar with a lot of the PS3 stuff. Uncharted is a good game, and I'm interested in Uncharted 4, and if I was going to buy a PS4, if they released an Uncharted 4 bundle, that would be my jumping off point into the PS4. That's how much I like the old Uncharted games and how much I like the way that this new one looks. They probably will, so we'll see. If I get it, I'll talk about it. But I mean, the trailer looked beautiful. I thought it was great. This is another thing I loved. So whenever they went to play it on stage, it didn't work, and they had to restart it because the controller disconnected at the beginning. Battery died or something. They didn't really say. They just kind of moved on with it. But I thought that was great. Like, what we saw is what we're going to get. And that was incredible. The game looks amazing without being kind of that over-the-top E3 look that they give stuff to make us all think that it's better than it is. So, I'm happy about that. No Man's Sky, another thing that they showed at the Sony conference. They didn't come right out and say PS4 or PlayStation exclusive. I read online that they're saying that No Man's Sky is PlayStation exclusive. Not anything official from Sony. So I don't know if it's a rumor or if I just missed the official release and I'm reading it on these sites. But I really, really hope that No Man's Sky comes to PC. I don't really care if it comes to Xbox or not. I get that Sony wants to have their exclusive, but No Man's Sky looks incredible. I mean, that's the kind of game that I've wanted for years and years and years. That's why I play the X3 series and why I've played Elite Dangerous so much since it came out. And why probably a third of my Steam library is games that I want to be as good as Freelancer. Like, I love that kind of thing. And, if it doesn't come to PC, the only way I can play it is to buy a PS4. Maybe, like I said, with an Uncharted bundle, I might be willing to go in for an Uncharted bundle and get No Man's Sky and a couple other things. But, man, it would look so much better and play so much better on my PC. If you haven't noticed, I'm a PC Master Race kind of guy. I like my consoles, but I love my PC. And No Man's Sky started out, I know, for PC. Oh, there's a buzz on my phone. That's the only problem with using my phone to record these. Might edit that out, might not. We'll see. But I'm a PC guy through and through. And I waited for years to get a gaming PC back. I used to have one a long time ago, and then I had to give it up with college and everything. And I had a gaming laptop, but it's not the same. I mean, they might be better now, but how long ago was it? 7 years ago? Something like that. They were good, but they weren't that good. So, and like I said, I briefly mentioned Nintendo at the beginning. I missed the Nintendo Direct. I do plan to go back and watch it as soon as they release it on YouTube or somewhere. But at this time, I wasn't able to find it and watch it. That about wraps it up for my E3 thoughts, though. Good conference overall. I'm going to keep watching the smaller stuff as much as I can. With Rooster Teeth doing it this year, I'm much more inclined to watch their coverage. I've followed them for years and years and years and years, ever since the beginning of Red vs. Blue, when I was too young to watch that show. But, so, hopefully, there's some more great stuff that comes out. Oh my gosh, how did I almost forgot about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I love that game. It's even in my notes, and I talked completely around it. Final Fantasy VII Remake. There was nothing really other than a teaser trailer. Anyone who knows Final Fantasy VII very clearly knows that it's Final Fantasy VII. They showed Cloud and the Buster Sword, and the logo with the materia. So, yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake. No idea when, probably 2016, maybe 2017. But I'm excited for that. That is... Okay, so if they had a PS4 bundle, you could buy with Uncharted 4, No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Kingdom Hearts 3. I know that got announced. I didn't see the conference where it got announced, but I know that was announced. I would buy that. I would go buy that tomorrow. I would go buy that today and bring it home and play it. But, so didn't forget the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But, back to what I was saying, that wraps up my E3 thoughts. Like I said before, I may add a Nintendo addendum to this, but probably if I find anything really noteworthy, I will just make a new video, a short one, and upload it later. You can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on my blog, and anywhere else that I show up that you happen to see me, you can say hi to me there. I'll respond, I promise. I'm a nice guy. You have a good day now.